My wife received the first message about the death of love. Always avoid close contact with her. For the first time, I changed into silk pajamas and entered my room. The young woman said, "Tonight is up to you. If you don't overdo it, nothing will work." She said there was no need to meet again. The next morning, she committed suicide by jumping off the roof of a building, and then I realized. In her heart there was always that same guy from the past, to whom she mentally returned in her youth. She shook my hand without hesitation. I ran into the arms of my first love. I watched them leave, turn around and walk away. From that day on, our lives are like two parallel lines, never cross them. 10 years later, we meet again at a party in the city. She has become a star in social circles. The hand of her chosen one appeared in the crowd. Seeing me, she couldn't resist and persuaded me to say, "Why are you so obsessed with me? Even if you waited for me for 10 years, I would not fall in love with you." I didn't answer. I walked to the corner and saw our daughter eating cake. She suddenly blushed. She just grabbed my hand. "Are you being mad at me on purpose? Didn't you say you'd love me for the rest of your life?" I never thought I'd meet Su Mengyao. At that grand banquet, she stood in the middle of the crowd. Next to her lover, she was elegant and noble. She was no longer the simple girl she had once been. Those around her praised her. The words were full of praise. "Mr. Su is truly a good brother. You won a provincial project when you were so young. What a brilliant future. This is your partner. What a perfect couple." She looked tenderly at Su Mengyao. "We're getting married at the end of the year. Welcome to the wedding," someone asked curiously. "I heard you were together for 10 years. Why did you only get married now?" That question bothered me too. Last time, Su Mengyao was deeply in love with me. Even though I was ready to give up everything for him, after being reborn, she immediately broke up with me. I thought they would get married after graduation, and I didn't expect to receive a marriage certificate so early. Su Mengyao smiled slightly. "I'll smile and build a career. Think about your family. I want to provide him with a better life." She looked at her fiancé. I was full of tenderness. I thought about it. I proposed to her many times until her family began to suppress me. She reluctantly accepted. The difference between love and hate can be so obvious. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure patted Yu Guang on the shoulder and unconsciously pursued him. She spilled a drop of champagne. The waiter was displeased with me. "Where did you come from? Without eyes?" His voice attracted the attention of those around him. Su Mengyao, seeing me, said in surprise, "Zai Yunfen, why are you here?" I apologized to the waiter. I explained that I was looking for someone. Someone showed interest in Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao knew him. He held 9 cups in his hands. "The feeling of affection is very strong, ex-girlfriend." Someone next to her said bluntly, "You've been together for 10 years. I thought this was just our first love for each other." Su Mengyao's smile faded for a few moments. "Gently take your companion's hand. When we were young, we had a little quarrel. Who is young and hasn't yet traveled the winding road?" Su Mengyao said nothing. She glanced at me slightly and said to the waiter, "It's my loss. Let him go." She stood her ground. Calm, except for the occasional glance. She didn't look at me anymore. Apparently, she wants to be in front of her fiancé with me. A shadow of the past. "Give way." The waiter pushed me away. "Miss Su kindly helped you clean up the mess, but next time there won't be any." He was too lazy to unload my water worms. "You shouldn't come here. Hurry." I'm holding her hand. "Patience is the explanation. I'm here to find someone. I'll leave as soon as I do." The waiter laughed. "I've seen plenty of people like you who want to climb to the top. Do you even have the right to attend parties like this? I'll call security if you don't leave." "Wait a minute." Su Mengyao's voice rang out. She was holding her skirt. She sighed helplessly. "She came to me. Let me say a few words to him." Her fiancé stood next to her. "It all seems like the master has the right to hold him by the shoulder." "Zai Yunfen, I'm marrying Mengyao. I want a self-respecting man. I'm not looking for money now." Su Mengyao doesn't look well. The advice sounded like this: "Why are you so obsessed with me? Even if you waited for me for 10 years, I wouldn't fall in love with you. It was a mistake to be with you in the beginning. Now I have a chance to make amends. I hope you can let go of the past." Su Mengyao looks down at me. There's a mask in her eyes. "You've come to find Mengyao. How could everything be so mixed up? If I were you, I wouldn't dare go outside." Su Mengyao frowned. "Get out your phone. Don't be impatient. If you think I owe you a breakup, I can make it up to you right now. 500,000 isn't enough." Her cell phone activity suddenly stopped. "You deleted my friend." I'm a little confused. I don't understand why she's so surprised. Isn't it normal to delete contacts after a breakup? Not to mention there's a jealous person at home. If you know I still have my ex-girlfriend's contact information, you must be angry. Didn't you tell me? Don't you want to contact me after we break up? Su Menjiao's face is so gloomy. Biasness is childish, I add calmly. I don't need to pay for the breakup. I don't want to be hurt by injustice. Su Mengyao's expression became even more disgusting, cold to the point of pretending to be in front of me. If it weren't for your depressed state, I wouldn't even want to talk to you, her fiancé gently consoled her. Mengyao, you're too kind. I want to say, what's the point of such people? Look at him, he's simply useless. His tone is so clear. It seems he forgot about himself 10 years ago, more unbearable than me. In the last years of my life, Su Mengyao's family disagreed with her and her ex-lover. This was because the other man was kind-hearted. The atmosphere on the streets was volatile. I remember the first time I met Su Mengyao in college. She had just escorted her lover out of the police station. I was under pressure from my family to separate. It was her hardest day. I invested all my money and bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of photography equipment. No matter how cold it is, I always carry the heavy equipment and follow her. I only hope to receive her sincere smile in exchange. Who would have thought that Su Menjiao would be the first to confess her love to me? I know about her past with that guy. I also saw him born, and this is the photo. So when I confessed, I asked her seriously, have you really let go of that relationship? She hugged me tightly and said, all that's in the past. I already know who really cares for me. Yunfin, I love you. Let's be together. We've been together for 7 years. Even his closest friend was shocked. She used to be so obsessed with the past. I didn't expect her to get to this point, but no one knows. Su Menjiao rejected my proposal many times. Zai Yunfin, I'm married again. Isn't it nice to be together like this? Until her parents started trying to persuade us to get married. We finally got married. However, on our honeymoon, I learned that the guy had been in a car accident. All he left behind on the cruise ship was a handwritten letter. It was a very long-winded letter. But I didn't mention it. The last letter was written in blood. Dear Shanbo, I am ready to become your bride in this life. Now I am here to see you. This attachment makes all my love crumble in an instant. Reborn. When Su Menjiao suggested breaking up, I didn't stop because I understand that everything is destined to happen. I watched their meeting. I deleted all contact information. I thought I'd never see you again. I didn't expect fate to allow us to meet again. As I was about to leave, that guy went to the station to make me look bad in front of everyone. You really have a heart of gold to get close to Mengyao. Look at your outfit. I'm afraid I don't even have a serious job. Why don't I offer you a job as a waiter? Learn to serve people. The monthly salary can also exceed 10,000. There are many people around. This is the best hotel in the city center. It's your fault you can work here. Thank you, Mr. Liang. I was surrounded by my helpless memories. Thank you for your kindness, but I also have a job, photography. Listen to these 2 words. Su Menjiao raised his head. Complex emotions flashed in his eyes. His lips trembled slightly. He turned his head and said coldly, how much money can you make from photography? I'm afraid your hobby is difficult to sustain. Considering I can arrange work for you, I immediately realize he misunderstood. I'm reshooting not because I miss the past. In fact, I completely let go of that moment when I saw this will. I simply discovered that the funds were used to buy photographic equipment after my rebirth. The platform for selling used items is difficult to use. That's when I started learning how to use it. I didn't expect to fall in love with this art. In this life, I won't be attracted to other people. To get attention, I'll be polite again. My income is enough to live on. Thank you for your work. Su Menjiao's face darkened slightly. I'm not giving you a chance. Don't regret it in the future. I didn't explain. I didn't tell him that my work is now regularly published in national 7-page periodicals and internationally. My copyright income is no less than his salary. He probably thinks I'm bragging. In the end, it is. I stole the money and now I can call the police. He clearly wants to please her new boyfriend. When Yan's banquet hall suddenly closed, quiet, if it weren't for today's guests, I'm afraid you would have disturbed them. I've called the police. The guy's eyes gleamed. This is the Liu family's eldest daughter. I heard he and his family came to the seaside for a vacation. Just stay here. Su Menjiao waits impatiently. A project the company is promoting. If only the Liu family would receive support. The Liu family's eldest daughter. These words were like cold water. The entire discussion flared up in an instant. Isn't there a banquet today? Just to see Mrs. Liu. The entire building is her property. I heard she got married when she was 20. I don't know which of the sons was so lucky when everyone was talking about it. The hall manager walked quickly with a group of people. He was sweating. Have you seen the 7-year-old boy? He's about here. The manager looked around anxiously. Someone immediately replied, is that the young man from the Liu family? I heard I turned 7 this year. The party began right there. Everyone lined up to find the child. Everyone knows that finding a child is like befriending the Liu family. Su Menjiao and her companion also joined the patrol. I was so worried looking at the chaos in the hallway. I was forbidden from going to the dessert area, but I found a cake full of cream on the table. I held my face and my hand. Come here, the frightened child held tightly to the table. Don't let go, don't come any closer, I just wanted to pull him. I don't know where her new fiancé came from, he was right in front of me. Zai Yunfen, what are you doing? Even if you want to climb on Liu's house, it's no big deal. You can't treat a child like that. Su Menjiao's tattoo has appeared. Zai Yunfen's eyes showed disappointment. I didn't expect you to do this for fame. The waitress brought the manager to report. This gentleman entered the banquet table without permission and stole other guests' clothes. The manager immediately called security. Take this thief and send him to the police station. If you're afraid of the young master, don't do this. A slight glimmer of joy flickered in the young man's eyes. The monster gave the young master of the Liu family a kind smile. Come to uncle, uncle will protect you. Everyone was expecting this. The little one didn't care at all. Instead, he held my hand tightly. I pinched his ear and spoke seriously. Have you forgotten what the doctor said? Teeth are still eating sweets. Teeth are biting during the child's examination. That guy was quick to blame everyone. Let the kid eat whatever he wants. Does that bother you? I replied calmly. I'm his father, why don't you care? That guy figured it out. The child just called my father, his mouth is silent. His gaze shifts from me to the child I released. The child immediately jumped up and began to beg. Daddy, I ate a little. I won't have any teeth. The cream from his face is on my body. I don't want to take this away. Mom will find out later. I don't care if I scold the child. He's getting his teeth. But I love sweets. I already have several toothaches. Every time my teeth hurt, Liu Ruyan can't help but get upset. Liu Ruyan was summoned from the company. I was stern, not expecting him to sneak off to the banquet. Look at my serious face. The child immediately ran up to hold my photo. Dad, I really don't dare, asked the manager next to me, nervously speaking in a quiet voice. You are Miss Liu's master. I nodded slightly. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Hurry up and smile, we're powerless. Do you and the young master want to go upstairs first? Looking at her whole body. I was about to follow the manager, but Su Menjiao pulled his leg. He opened his mouth and kept repeating, you're married and have a child. I pulled my leg back. He stopped and nodded. Graduation was over. Liu Ruyan and I were familiar with the photograph. While filming abroad, I met her by chance. She was upset and fell down a hill. People were screaming. The signal was bad and I tried my best to save her. While waiting to be rescued, she looked at my work. We had a very animated conversation and discovered that we were very close in many ways. After returning home, we were together. It's surprising that her family doesn't care about my background. One day, Liu Ruyan smiled at me and said, Yunfen, it was your character and personality that made me choose you. I thought I'd experienced Su Menjiao's guilt. I find it hard to fall in love with others, but Liu Ruyan allowed us to do so. Love is mutual, a return to the past, pain far away. The child in my arms is running. Dad, let's go find Mom. I miss him, but Su Menjiao still won't let him go. You're looking at me so intently. Are you really being angry at me on purpose? Didn't you say that you love only me in this life? A girl's voice comes from behind me. Greetings echo around me. Hello, Mr. Liu. Hello, Boss Liu. Looking around, I see Liu Ruyan standing behind me. She took my hand and looked at Su Menjiao. Her tone was quiet. This is your ex-girlfriend. I'm afraid she misunderstood me. I was busy explaining that I'd been dating her for a month when I was younger and hadn't had any contact with her in the last 10 years. That word. Su Menjiao's face turned pale. I was stunned and in no hurry, and I never in my life said that I loved only her. Su Menjiao understood the meaning of these words. This is the promise of a past life. We have all chosen a new life. Past words naturally no longer matter. He didn't want to ask. But we have so many memories. How can we forget everything and be with others? That guy's face is terrible. I have no choice but to sigh. Why can't you be with the man you've chosen? Aren't you together? You're getting married next month, and now you're blaming me. Is that too unfair? I proposed to Su Menjiao myself. I want to argue, but her fiancé interrupted. Mengyao, let's go. He's married. This has nothing to do with you. I'm the one who's always by your side. He simply hugged Su Menjiao. She slapped him on the cheek. Look at the red mark on his hand. Her companion is all in red. If only this had happened earlier. Su Mengyao must have been really worried, trying to comfort her, but I don't even look at her. That guy is really angry with me. There's hatred in his eyes. Liu Ruyan looked at Su Mengyao with a smile on her face. In the long story, I thought it was someone who liked my husband. It turns out my ex-girlfriend hasn't broken up with my current girlfriend yet. I want to save this couple. Is that too naive? Su Menjiao's face turned pale. I try in vain to explain. No, I raise my hand to stop Su Menjiao. It's all over between us. Now I have my own family and you have a loved one too. I wish you happiness. The last 5 words are like a hammer. Su Menjiao stands motionless. He looks at me. Tears stream down his cheeks. Have you really forgotten our past? I don't believe it. We were together for so long. You loved me so much. Liu Ruyan's displeasure became even more obvious. It's cold to say, but how long can a month last? Is it longer than our marriage? I know. Su Menjiao said that I was the one who guarded him for 10 years, but even if I told him that, he wouldn't believe me. I wrongly broke his promise, but I don't care anymore. Since we've chosen different paths in this life, it proves that the past isn't worth missing. I returned his words. Su Mengyao, why are you so fixated on this? We've already drawn the line. The sound just faded. Su Mengyao's eyes turned red. I didn't want to continue talking. I was about to leave, but then I heard Liu Ruyan's lazy voice. I just heard someone say that my husband is a thief. I need to send him to the police station. The waitress apologized profusely. I was blinded. I was misunderstood, Mr. Ning. My apologies to you both. He bowed his head. He hadn't been arrogant before, after his conversation with the waitress. Liu Ruyan turned to Su Mengyao's companion. You should introduce my husband to the job. Have him come to my hotel and beat me up. Should I thank him for you? His speech was a little strange. Instead of putting on something. But Liu Ruyan stopped me with a look. Let's go back upstairs. Liu Ruyan immediately arranged for my son and me to help sort clothes. I opened my phone again and let the assistant select a batch of clothes for me. Disappointment. These eyes of the whole world dare to insult you without paying attention. My dear, rest assured. In the future, you will never wear a uniform with a salary below 6 figures. I can't let these people see you. I have no choice but to stop him. I often want to go outside and warm myself in the breeze. Wearing expensive suits is really uncomfortable. Just wear them comfortably. Liu Ruyan hadn't thought of that. She offered to change my car. Do you like Maserati or Maybach? I shake my head. It seems I'm suffering from his wrath today. Liu Ruyan has been very kind to me all these years. Someone always thought that after marrying a rich man I would end up in the lower class. In fact, she always showed respect for my career. She often traveled the world with me, pursuing her creative endeavors. Learning photography, our marriage, and all couples in love around the world are no exception, especially after today's meeting with Su Menjiao. I'm more confident in the correctness of my choice. I thought the last time we met was at a party. I didn't expect to see her again when I walked out, Su Menjiao in a white dress. It's like going back to college without makeup. She immediately confronted me. Yunfen, I know you'll come here. She bit her lips slightly. There was a struggle in her eyes. You still remember the past? You still love me, right? I subconsciously retreated. I remember we used to come here often. Today, when I was filming, I didn't expect Su Menjiao to be waiting for me. I rubbed my eyes to make sure. Why don't you give up, Su Menjiao? The past is already in the past. I don't understand what you're looking for. You keep asking me if I still love you. I've said this countless times. There is no love. Should I speak of love from the bottom of my heart? Then I divorced Ruyan. You broke up with Shanbo. We're back together. The sound just faded. Su Menjiao hurriedly stepped forward. Of course, we can start over. I was stunned. I thought she just didn't want to lose the man who'd been with her for 10 years. I didn't expect her to actually want to rekindle the relationship. I took a step back. The curse didn't come true. Are you crazy? You've been grieving over Liang Shanbo your whole life. It's not easy being together in this life. So break up, Yunfen, forgive me. Su Menjiao's face betrays pain. Yes, after being reborn, she immediately went to Liang Shanbo. But after they met, she realized she didn't love him as much as she imagined. In fact, he had proposed to her many times. I didn't agree. I was thinking about the unfinished past. I heard words about the past. I calmly replied, I remember you left a letter saying you wanted to become Liang Shanbo's bride in this life. Su Menjiao quickly explained. But I regret it. I truly regret being with Liang Shanbo. If I could go back to it all, I would never leave you. Yunfin, maybe we should start over. This time, I'll be wholeheartedly devoted to you. I won't upset you again. That phrase just makes me laugh. I want to go back. Rebirth is already a blessing bestowed by God. Su Menjiao, an adult, must take responsibility for their own choices. I look into her eyes and say, I don't regret parting with you in this life. I don't regret marrying Ruyan. I don't regret living my life. The problem of Su Menjiao's ingratitude. I've remembered you for 10 years now. My love is not as beautiful as Liu Ruyan's. Why did I choose her? I smile slightly. We've been together for 10 years, so do you know what I like to eat? What allergies do I have? What color do I like? What games do I like to play? Su Menjiao turned pale at these questions. I sighed. Su Menjiao, you say you love me, but do you really understand me? I've been behind your back for 10 years, suppressing myself to please you. What you love is simply my own obsession, he said, and I raised the camera to show him. I want to live my life for myself. I don't want to be loved by others anymore. I am me. My words are like a needle. Stuck in Su Menjiao's heart, she opened her mouth trying to find an answer. Any answer about my preferences. But she found her brain empty. For these 10 years, she is used to accepting my good deeds. She is used to my efforts. But she's never truly tried to understand the man who exists in the background. She remembers Liang Shanbo. What kind of beer does he like to drink? Does he remember what he hates to eat? Does he remember all his habits and his fiery temper? But for me, she remembers that I always show up when she needs me. She remembers my unconditional tolerance and devotion. The details about myself are a complete mess. I can learn, I can understand Su Menjiao's voice even if he cries from a gun. I'm trying my best to endure until the end. Yunfin, give me one more chance, okay? I can see her almost begging for mercy. The heart doesn't beat, only complete relief. The previous one is a kind of personal pain. Already in the warmth brought by Liu Ruyan and her son, they brought rice. No need, my voice is calm. We must all take responsibility for our own lives. You chose Liang Shanbo. Whatever the outcome, this is your path. And I chose Juyan in my career. I'm so happy with this journey, I'll never turn back. I won't see her pale face anymore. I'll turn around and start adjusting the camera lens. And I'll begin today's work. The scenery here is truly beautiful, and I can't be delayed by someone who has nothing to do with it. Su Menjiao stood in her original place as if all her strength had been drained from her. My words had completely shattered her most cherished dream and fantasy since her reincarnation. This person, no matter how much he is offended, no matter how much he is ignored, will wait for him in the same place. He will really disappear. He's not angry and he's in no hurry. He's truly completely detached from his own world. And they had a life that was both heartbreaking and happy. Why is it like this? She said it herself, and finally the tears began to flow. This time, it wasn't a performance, not a plot, but a kind of pain that came too late, mixed with regret and immense loss. At that moment, the silence was broken by the sound of a telephone ringing, like the sound of a thorn. Shanbo's name appeared on Su Menjiao's phone screen. She looked at it, and for the first time, her eyes reflected obvious disgust and irritation. She didn't answer, and there was a stubbornness in her thoughts. I didn't care about her movements, and I focused on the world in the basement. The sunlight filtering through the tree leaves, the light from the bamboo, everything was so beautiful. I adjusted the focus, pressed the shutter button continuously, and captured this moment full of natural beauty. Su Menjiao's phone rang for a moment, and I thought about it again like crazy. He finally picked up the phone with difficulty and heard a cold, soundless voice. What had happened? It was Liang Shanbo, and his tone sounded extremely unsatisfactory. Mengyao, where are you? Something happened to the company. Our project to compete for the Liu family's investment was directly rejected by the Liu group. The reason is that the qualification test was not passed. The other party made it clear they didn't want to ruin their relationship with their partner. Su Menjiao's heart was so fiery and he had a nasty temper. Those 4 words seemed to hit him hard. He immediately remembered that day at the wine party. Liang Shanbo and he discussed all sorts of gossip and mischief about Lord Liu Ruyan. Maybe Liang Shanbo is still complaining there. This must be Zai Yunfin's doing. He's probably the one causing all this fuss. Mengyao, you need to figure out a way to fix this. Don't you know him better than anyone? Go and beg him to let you look back. Enough. Su Menjiao's heart broke and his chest tightened. Liang Shanbo, all you know how to do besides complain is blame others. What else can you do? You were in charge of the project and you made so many mistakes. I told you to do this with all my heart. Did you listen to me? And who insulted the other person at the party that day? Now you know you kicked an iron plate, Liang Shanbo shouted into the phone. Apparently no one expected such a reaction from Su Menjiao. He was stunned for a few seconds. And his tone grew even worse. Su Menjiao, what the hell are you talking about? Now you're blaming me. If you hadn't come back to me, I would be with you. If you hadn't said you could rely on memories of the past to build a huge wall, I would have been with you for 10 years. As a result, the company suffered a bit. You didn't even get married. I'm still in contact with my ex-boyfriend now. Words are like thunder. These sounds reached Su Menjiao's ear. Because of this, I had to adjust the camera position slightly, even though I already knew she had been reborn. But I heard Liang Shanbo shout like this. I still feel a little awkward. They don't seem to be made of steel. Su Menjiao's body is trembling. His persistent phone call can no longer confirm this. He sat on the ground and cried nonstop. This time I'm not here to show anyone anything but for his absurd life. I didn't console her, perhaps because of grievances from a past life. Or given my current position, I didn't have that position and responsibilities. I quietly picked up the camera and was about to leave that place where she was in tears. As I turned to leave, Su Menjiao suddenly raised her head. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and asked a question that had been tormenting her for a long time. Zai Yunfen, you were reincarnated too, so that's why you let things go so easily and then you and Liu Ruyan got together so quickly. I stopped without looking back and simply said, is it right or not? Does it matter? What matters is that we all made a choice and accepted the consequences of that choice. I didn't admit it directly, but for Su Menjiao, this answer was almost self-evident. She finally understood why Zai Yunfen had changed so much in this life. He was not ignorant and did not ignore the will of fate. The memories of his past life, awake and active, left him, and he chose another wide road. This perception is much more hopeless and disgusting than the simple realization that he no longer loves her. I left the scene of the storm, not caring at all about the crying woman behind me. There was no feeling of joy in my heart, only calm and peace. Returning to my temporary residence in the city, I saw my son in Liu Ruyan's arms. He held a picture book in his hand, and Liu Ruyan pretended to speak seriously. Mom, Dad said, as long as I know the words on this page, I can have a little piece of cake. The kid got angry and started bargaining. Liu Ruyan pinched her nose. The doctor told her that she needed to strictly control her sugar intake during the teething period. Learn this word, cake is cake, they cannot be mixed up. Dad, my son saw me and immediately extended his little hand to ask for help. I approached with a smile and picked up a picture book. I told Liu Ruyan that I had met Su Menjiao downstairs today. Liu Ruyan frowned, not seeing the anger on her face. Oh, she's come to bother you again. There was a vague coldness in her voice. I simply told you what happened when I was detained, including the call from Liang Shanbo and the possible consequences it could have entailed. Liu Ruyan heard this and said coldly, the project has been rejected. This decision was made by the group projects department based on professional judgment. It has nothing to do with me. As for the quality of their performance, they demonstrated it publicly. Do you expect others to give them good reviews? She looked at me with a soft gaze, but you did very well. I thought it would be a little difficult to let go of an old love. I put my arm around her shoulder and hugged my son. Old love has long since burned to the ground. Now, deep down, I can only pretend to be your wife and the mother of our child. A sincere smile appeared on Liu Ruyan's face. I have something similar on my shoulder. My son is looking at me and his mother. Although I don't understand what the adults are saying, I think the atmosphere is very good and I smile with pleasure. Could this warmth really be a dream from my past life? The unrest that Su Menjiao and he bring into this small space filled with love, that's what it is. It seems so insignificant, but the number was unclear. A few days later, I got a call and it was something strange. The phone number belonged to High City. I hesitated for a moment but then answered. It was Su Menjiao's mother calling. My ex-mother-in-law's voice. She sounded very tired, a little demanding. Yunfen, yes, it's Auntie. I was a little surprised, but I maintained basic etiquette. Auntie, hello, how are you? Yunfen, Auntie knows that calling you now is very impolite, but the aunt can't do anything about it. Her voice was heard in conversations. She hadn't returned home for several days. She didn't come to the office and we couldn't reach her by phone. We were very worried. Her father was very angry. I asked around, but Su Menjiao had disappeared somewhere. Auntie, I haven't contacted Su Menjiao in a while. Where did she go? I don't know. Yunfin, I beg you. Auntie Su's voice grew even more insistent. We know she came to see you a few days ago. Did you have a fight? Menjiao's condition has been getting worse since she started dating this Liang Shanbo. Auntie knows that our family used to feel sorry for you. And she didn't like your family background, so she forced Menjiao to marry you. But since we were once family, help me find her, okay? We're completely unfamiliar with life here. Su's mother's cries evoke somewhat complex feelings in me. In short, the parents of Su's former family. Although my opportunities are not the greatest, but at least not like Liang Shanbo, who was deliberately humiliated, and a mother to a missing daughter. Put aside your sorrow and sadness, this is truly touching. But I don't want to get into trouble with Su Menjiao. I didn't make any promises right away. Liu Ruyan sat down next to me and began reading, probably overhearing the phone conversation. She put the book down, looked at me, and said silently, "It's up to you to decide." I sighed and said into the phone, "Auntie, I can only promise you that if I happen to find out anything about her, I'll let you know, but I won't go to her. I've had a crush on her for a long time." Aunt Su was very kind and accommodating on the phone. Although she didn't receive the promised full relief, she seemed relieved. She said, "Enough, enough. Hang up." Liu Ruyan looked at me and softened. I shook my head, not softening. "I think her parents are having a hard time right now. I have learned to look at things more holistically. After the hatred subsides, one may also see a feeling of helplessness and grief that was ignored in the past life." "Should I send someone to help me find her?" Liu Ruyan asked, because it wouldn't be difficult for him to find someone in a coastal city. "There's no need," I categorically refuse. She's an adult and capable of taking responsibility for her own behavior. Perhaps she just wants to be alone. I'm not afraid that Su Menjiao will do anything stupid. In her past life, she was madly in love with Liang Shanbo, and that's what she wanted. In this life, her feelings for Liang Shanbo had obviously changed. As for me, I most likely wouldn't dare to dwell on this. It's very far from the topic of love. I quickly put this question aside. My life revolves around my family and my career as a photographer. I'll soon be releasing a series of urban-themed works. I won gold medals at an international photography competition, causing a great stir. My work was published in several national art magazines. I was invited to do an interview. My name was gradually becoming more and more significant in the photography industry. Liu Ruyan is happier than me, so she threw a small party at home to celebrate. Although it was just the three of us and her few relatives who were present, she put her arms around my neck, her eyes shining. "Look, I told you my husband is the best. My son hugs my leg like his mom. I have a small face and my dad is the best." Looking at them, I feel an immense sense of happiness. This is the happiness I found after being reborn. But when I thought that life would continue to be peaceful and happy, Su Menjiao suddenly appeared in my life again. It was the weekend. I took my son to the newly opened technology museum. He was very intrigued by the interactive devices inside. It's not easy to play. When he went to try out the VR project, I sat in the living room and waited. I picked up a local financial weekly magazine from the shelf. The cover of the weekly magazine still features Liang Shanbo. However, in this photo, he lacks the aura he had at the party that day. But he looks a little exhausted, and there is an unbearable weariness in his eyes. The title is even more shocking, and the myth is dispelled. The catering business is at risk of being sold off by its partners. I'm pleased to open this page. The article details how Liang Shanbo and Su Menjiao's company developed, using so-called inside information to get ahead quickly, but also making mistakes in decision-making, especially in the project that Liu's company canceled. This was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Recently, the company's vice president, who oversees fixed assets and clients, suddenly disappeared. This led to the complete collapse of the company's capital chain and put the debtor at risk. The report also mentioned that Su Menjiao, the company's co-founder, she was not involved in this crisis, and there are rumors that she broke up with Liang Shanbo. In an interview, Liang Shanbo placed much of the blame on his missing partner and some influential people who were under pressure due to their personal desires. The leader pointed to the Liu family. I read the report, and there was no sadness in my heart. It seems like all of this is destined to happen. Rely on your insight and willpower. His abilities and character do not meet the requirements. Sooner or later, everything will collapse. I just didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Dad, this virtual reality is so cool. My son ran back excitedly, interrupting my thoughts. I put the magazine down, smiled, and stroked his hair. The main thing is to have fun. Let's go. Mom made a reservation at the restaurant. We need to go meet her. Holding my son's hand, I left the technical room. The sun was shining just in time. The heartbreaking humiliation of Liang Shanbo and Su Menjiao. To me, it's just noise, meaningless. My world is bright and warm like spring. But I underestimated the power of despair that a man is capable of when driven into a corner. A few days later, the kindergarten teacher called me. The voice was very alarming. Mr. Zai, bad news. Yu was taken away by a stranger. For a moment, my head went blank. What's going on? Who took him? We're registered. Only his mother and I saw it. My voice was filled with utter panic and horror. This is a woman. She said she was Yu's aunt. She also accurately named Yu and even his birth date. The teacher's voice was tearful. Auntie, Liu Ruyan and I are the only children in our family. Where did Yu get this, Auntie? A terrible thought immediately crept into my mind. I immediately hung up and ran out, and Liu Ruyan answered the call. At the same time, I forced myself to calm down. And I thought of a possible candidate, Su Menjiao, only she knows my name. Perhaps, through my investigation, she'll also gain detailed information. What does she want to do? Use the child to threaten me, to take revenge on me. Liu Ruyan's phone answered almost immediately. Upon hearing this news, she froze instantly. I immediately posted security for my son, and you call the police. I contacted the people back home. They dared to touch my son. I want them to answer for it. Liu Ruyan's voice, the sharpness of her murderous intent, sent a chill through me. But at that moment, this determination to protect my family gave me strength. We were no longer the same Zai Yunfen who could be intimidated. The police and influential circles of the Liu family quickly mobilized. The child's location was soon identified in an abandoned factory. Liu Ruyan and I took police and bodyguards with us, and they rushed there at top speed. It was very dark in the factory. The air was filled with the smell of iron and dust. Deep inside the factory, we encountered a heartbreaking scene. Yu was tied up and sitting on the ground. His face was covered in tears and his mouth was gagged. Su Menjiao stood next to him. My hair was disheveled, my gaze absent-minded, and she held a knife in her hand. She looked extremely unbalanced. Liu Ruyan saw her son almost faint. I was so scared that her eyes turned red. She wanted to rush at this madwoman and tear her to pieces. Don't come any closer, don't come any closer. Su Menjiao saw us like a frightened animal. And she pointed the knife at Yu. Then I shouted, Su Menjiao, calm down. I suppressed the anger in my heart, tried to talk to her, and demanded that she release the child. What exactly do you want from me? I want you to finally do this. Su Mengyao drawled with a graceful grin. What good are you? My company is completely ruined. Liang Shanbo has fled and I have nothing left. You are the only one to blame for everything that is happening. If it weren't for your intervention, could Liu Ruyan have defeated us? Without you, would I have found myself in such a dire situation? Liu Ruyan's reputation has skyrocketed, while your own business is heading for bankruptcy. You yourself are mismanaging your own affairs, and it has nothing to do with my husband. Let my child go immediately. Otherwise, I'll make you bitterly regret ever having been born. Haha, tears of despair welled up in Su Mengyao's eyes. Miss Liu, you are absolutely delightful, so what? Now the life of your precious son is right in my hands. He glanced at the jade artifact of an unusual color. A complex range of emotions flashed in his gaze, which was immediately replaced by madness. Zai Yunfen, I ask you for the very last time, do you still love me or not? If you agree to abandon Liu Ruyan and follow me, I will spare this boy's life. I look at him and at this woman I loved for 2 lifetimes, but who ultimately completely destroyed my past. Only icy hatred sloshes within my chest. Su Mengyao, you hear this perfectly well. I say these words in a hard and cold voice. Never before had Zai Yunfen felt such burning hatred for a person. I love you, but you make me sick. My words hit like a poisoned dagger, completely destroying Su Mengyao's last hopes and remnants of common sense. His face is distorted with madness, his hair is disheveled, and he breaks into a scream. Then die together. At that very moment, a rustling sound is heard. A small shadow begins to move. Little Shi Yu, freed from the pile of things, backhandedly kicked Su Mengyao in the leg. He himself no longer remembered the exact moment when he quietly frayed the ropes. Su Mengyao lost his balance in surprise, and at that moment the knife in his hands shifted. A deafening shot rings out as a sniper, positioned on a hill inside an abandoned factory, follows orders and opens fire. The bullet hits Su Mengyao's wrist. Ah, Su Mengyao yelps and the fruit knife clatters to the concrete. The police and bodyguards rush forward to subdue him, and I rush to Liu Ruyan, when suddenly a heartrending, frightened child's cry is heard. Liu Ruyan rushes forward, clutching her son tightly to her chest, and they both cry. I move closer and hug them both. Finally, my heart, which had been hanging by a thread, falls into place. The overwhelming fear for the future turns out to be so strong, which almost throws me off balance. The police lead away a resisting Su Mengyao, who lifts his head as he walks, glaring at me with blood-stained eyes. A strange, cruel grin plays on his lips. Zai Yunfen, you won, haha, you really won, but Liang Shanbo is a real bastard. He took all my money and then got a woman on the side. We've been reborn. The word reborn sounds like a bitter mockery. His voice in the empty workshops of the abandoned factory is like an ominous howl, full of madness and hopelessness, a blood-curdling howl. This sudden confession of reincarnation falls into the water like a heavy stone, but deep within my soul, only a cold silence reigns. I don't even deign to glance at it. All my attention switches to my son, who is trembling with fear, and my pale wife, whom I now need to calm down. Liu Ruyan clutches the salvaged jade talisman to her like a priceless treasure brought back from oblivion. Her eyes reflect the same emotions as mine. Having experienced fear and anger, we realize the main thing. We are now a united and inseparable team. The police sirens gradually fade into the distance, taking Su Mengyao and his crazy speeches away. The car starts moving, and this piercing sound finally washes away the stifling tension that has been holding me back all this time. Upon returning home, Liu Ruyan says quietly, but with absolute firmness in his voice, "Our building has been upgraded to the highest security level again. Our home has been upgraded to the highest security level again. The nanny and family doctor were waiting for us the whole time." Little Yu is in deep shock, and the doctor quickly gives him a sedative, after which he finally falls asleep right in my arms. But even in my sleep, his tiny fingers convulsively clutch at my clothes. Liu Ruyan sits at the head of her son's crib, looking down at him, her eyes still brimming with the fear and pain she's suffered. I walk over and put my hands on her shoulders, feeling the tension in her body. I won't let them get away with this. He suddenly opens his mouth, his voice is cold, and he doesn't even turn around. No one involved in this case should expect mercy. I understand perfectly well that this is not just Su Mengyao trying to save his own skin. All the threads of this case indirectly lead to Liang Shanbo, without saying another word. I just pick up the phone and head to the office, after gently patting Yu on the back. I hear her voice lower, but my rules are crystal clear. And there's no doubt that a series of strict orders will be issued. Yes, Liang Shanbo has used every available connection. I need to thoroughly investigate this both domestically and internationally. I want to know exactly which rat hole she's hiding in. And before a full analysis, I raise the contacts of all our subsidiaries and reliable partners. None of those involved in this nightmare will escape retribution again. Every grain of rice counts, all the companies that worked closely together. Added to a special watch list, double-check everything again. Yes, she didn't start screaming or throwing a tantrum right away. But this frightening calm presses harder than any violent emotions. I know that the Liu family's huge business empire and the network of people behind it act in a coordinated manner towards a common goal: to make those who dared to hurt our boy pay a colossal price. In the days that followed, we put aside all non-essential matters and worked to surround Yu with maximum care and support. The child's psyche is incredibly fragile, and this abduction inevitably left a deep mark on his soul. We immediately took him to the best child psychologist. Liu Ruyan and I strictly followed all the specialist recommendations. With sensitive guidance, we helped him regain a sense of security and the belief that his parents loved him madly and would never allow anyone to hurt him again. Fortunately, surrounded by love and professional care, Yu began to smile sincerely again. Although he still occasionally wakes up from nightmares, he is making steady progress. Security at home has, of course, been significantly increased. Liu Ruyan even returned to her son the very same children's watch with a built-in tracker and emergency call button. The calm around our house silently testified to the changes that the storm had brought. Meanwhile, news about Su Mengyao and Liang Shanbo began to arrive one after another. Su Mengyao's case turned out to be relatively simple. The evidence was irrefutable. The fact of kidnapping and intentional harm were fully proven. The lawyer tried to press the case on his client's unstable mental state, but the examination confirmed his sanity. Realizing he couldn't escape punishment, he tried to throw a tantrum but ended up getting 12 years in prison. We didn't even show up in court on the day of the sentencing. I have nothing more to say about the man who once occupied all my thoughts and then went crazy and tried to ruin my life. Its ending is a logical consequence of the choice made, but the search for Liang Shanbo turned into a carefully planned operation. Using financial leverage and a wide network of informants, Liu Ruyan's people quickly tracked him down in a Southeast Asian country known for its resorts and gambling business. Taking the money stolen from the company and from Su Mengyao herself, he indulged in illusions of a luxurious life. Right in the casino, he bragged left and right that he would soon return to his former glory. Liu Ruyan maintained his usual cold expression as he looked through his subordinates' latest reports. It seems this idiot still hasn't realized what reality he's found himself in. We decided not to use official extradition channels. It would take too long and would involve bureaucratic red tape. A much more direct and effective method was chosen to help Liang Shanbo realize his mistakes. Just a few days later, news arrived that he had been arrested right in one of the local gambling houses. At first he raged and tried to assert his rights, which only angered his creditors and got him into even greater debt. However, the reality turned out to be much harsher. Trying to wriggle out of it, he only sank deeper into trouble, becoming a laughingstock. The people from whom he borrowed huge sums turned out to be far less lenient than those he had dealt with in the past. They didn't stand on ceremony, and their methods for collecting debts were extremely harsh and uncompromising. Liang Shanbo quickly lost his marketable appearance, with a broken nose, a swollen face, and empty pockets, having lost everything that he had once taken from Su Mengyao by deception. Now he was running from creditors, hiding in corners like a mangy dog. In that strange city, he had absolutely nowhere to run. According to the latest reports, he got into a street fight while hiding from his pursuers. They broke his leg and took away all his remaining money, leaving him with nothing among the local vagabonds. Forced to beg on the streets, eat scraps, and shiver from the cold, he got exactly what he deserved, a pathetic cripple with a dirty soul, struggling for a meager existence in the darkest slum area. It's probably even worse and more painful than death. I have no desire to even imagine this miserable picture. Wasting your thoughts on him is an unaffordable luxury. Each new news of his fall feels like a long-awaited liberation from the ghosts of the past. It seems that life has finally turned its bright side to me, lifting the last heavy lock from me. Everything around me is filled with meaning and light. My career as a photographer has entered a truly golden period. I see our social project receiving well-deserved recognition and national awards for its transparency and real benefits to people. We are being joined by more and more new partners and volunteers who have gone through similar trials. The project's scale is growing, encompassing even the most remote mountainous regions. I've begun actively sharing my experience by teaching photography master classes at leading universities across the country. Looking at these glowing, enthusiastic young faces, I feel like I have found a completely different, wonderful path in the world of art. Liu Ruyan's company, under his impeccable management, is rapidly expanding, setting new standards of reliability and professionalism throughout the industry. His workload has increased, but no matter how tired he gets, his family always remains his top priority. He makes time to call every evening and never misses a family weekend, no matter how busy he is. He changes into comfortable house clothes and runs around the garden with delight with the children, constantly praising me for taking care of my son. And since our daughter is playfully feigning capriciousness, he secretly treats her to sweets, although outwardly he still maintains the aura of a respectable businessman. As soon as he steps through the door, he instantly drops the mask of sternness, looking tenderly at me and the children. All his coldness melts, turning into pure affection. Years have passed, and even a long-awaited peace has settled over my soul. However, just when it seemed to me that all the storms were behind us and we could finally enjoy quiet family happiness, an uninvited guest knocked on our door, instantly shattering this fragile peace. It was a beautiful weekend. The sun was shining brightly. We had just returned from the park as a family, and the nanny had just put our youngest son to bed after a walk. Senior Yu sat at the desk in the study, diligently doing his homework, while Liu Ruyan and I settled down on the sofa in the living room, enjoying the silence and hot tea. While admiring the wonderful view outside the window, we heard a gentle knock on the door. The nanny hurried to open it and soon returned with a report. "Sir and madam, there's an elderly man and woman at the door. They say they're Su Mengyao's parents and they're eager to speak with us." I instinctively turned my gaze to Liu Ruyan's face, his eyebrows arched slightly. He nodded calmly to the nanny, "Let them come in." Two old men, aged beyond recognition in recent years, stood before me at the threshold. Father Su's hair had turned gray, and Mother Su's face and hands were deeply wrinkled by time and experience. Their whole appearance conveyed a burning interweaving of hope and despair. Mixed with panic, the mother-in-law lowered her head, frantically clasping her fingers together. "Please, sit down," I said softly, pointing to the sofa opposite. They sat down on the very edge, trying to take up as little space as possible, and looked incredibly pitiful and awkward. "Uncle, Auntie, what brings you to us?" I asked bluntly, trying to control myself. Su's parents exchanged glances. Mother Su's lips trembled and her eyes instantly filled with tears. Father Su sighed heavily and his voice broke into a hoarse croak. "Yunfin, we understand perfectly well that we have no right to show up on your doorstep, but Meng Yao, she committed a terrible stupidity and we ourselves cannot forgive her for it." He fell silent for a second, struggling to find words from the shame that overwhelmed him. But we no longer had a choice. After Meng Yao's arrest, the company collapsed, leaving behind mountains of debt. Liang Shanbo is a scoundrel. He ran away with all the money, taking what belonged to the family. Creditors are literally besieging our home. We can't even pay the interest and soon we'll be out on the street. Father Su couldn't contain himself any longer, and despair crept into his voice. "We know Meng Yao is guilty before you and before the child. We don't even dare ask for forgiveness. But we are already old, and we simply have nowhere to go. Yunfin, for the sake of our past, for the sake of the fact that we were one family, we beg you, help us come to an agreement with the creditors. Or lend us money so we can pay off these damned debts and atone for our guilt. We will serve you faithfully and truly for the rest of our lives." With these words, they tried to kneel before me. I immediately frowned, jumped up from my seat, and quickly supported them by the shoulders. "Uncle, Auntie, what are you doing? Stand up, I beg you." Seeing their humiliated state, I felt lousy. It was unclear whether their repentance was sincere or whether this was just another performance. After all, they had been my family for many years, and I knew their character well. They weren't monsters at their core, and they loved their daughter madly, so now, watching their fall, it was hard for me as a human being. But pity is one thing. But the pain and horror Su Meng Yao inflicted on our son is something entirely different. Reaching out to them now would be a betrayal of the nightmare they endured. And that was precisely the line Liu Ruyan and I would never cross. I silently returned to my seat and glanced at Liu Ruyan. In our family, we only made such decisions together. Especially now when our common peace was at stake. Liu Ruyan met my gaze, leisurely took a sip of tea, carefully placed his cup on the saucer, and turned his cold gaze to the old men. His expression was completely impassive, but his posture alone exuded a concrete confidence. "We understand your feelings perfectly," he said quietly, but so clearly that it gave me goosebumps. "But we can't help you in any way." The old men's faces instantly turned earthy gray. Liu Ruyan continued in a calm, measured tone that held no trace of sympathy. "Firstly, Miss Su Meng Yao committed a serious criminal offense and must be punished according to the law. There can be no compromise here. Secondly, regarding your debts and the collapse of Su's company, these are solely the results of your own business management. Our family has no intention of interfering in other people's commercial disputes. And thirdly, and most importantly, because of your daughter's actions, our son suffered severe psychological trauma and almost died. This is the red line that we will not allow anyone to cross. Therefore, any financial or personal support is out of the question. Please understand." Liu Ruyan's voice sounded like a sentence, firm, peremptory, and cold. He clearly defined the boundaries of our security and cut off any manipulation. The old men opened their mouths trying to say something, but the words stuck in their throats, and Su's mother began to sob quietly, finally realizing the hopelessness of her situation. They realized that this path was closed forever. I looked at their broken figures with a heavy heart. A spark of human pity still flickered within me, but the cold voice of reason and duty to my own family put everything in its place. The past is behind us, and now there is room in our lives only for protecting our common future. I fully support Liu Ruyan's decision. We have no right to allow the ghosts of the past to again darken our lives and traumatize our children. My aunt and uncle received a clear refusal, but we at least maintained a certain polite distance. In matters of law, we are powerless to change anything. Regarding the debt trap, I advised them to seek qualified legal assistance or try to negotiate with creditors directly. Our conscience is clear, and they will not get more from us. This was our final word. It seemed Father Su's strength was completely exhausted. He hunched over, took his crying wife by the arm, and they left our house in shame. "Sorry to bother you, we're leaving," they said quietly, no longer trying to appeal to pity. Their hunched backs disappeared through the door, dissolving into the gloomy evening silence. The heavy front door slowly slid shut. Silence reigned once again in the spacious living room, and the rays of the setting sun began to break through the panoramic windows. I stood silently in the light, although the unpleasant aftertaste still weighed heavily on my soul. Liu Ruyan didn't say anything. He just came up to me, grabbed my hand tightly, and silently conveyed all his support and warmth. He knew me too well and understood that despite the complete lack of feelings for Su Mengyao, I was still touched to see such a humiliated state of the elderly people who came asking for help. A complex storm of feelings inevitably stirred in my chest, not because of weakness, but because of the bitter realization of the vagaries of fate. "I'm fine," I replied quietly, squeezing his fingers back and smiling weakly, feeling my husband's calming presence. "It's just a little sad that because of their daughter's blind stupidity, two old people have to pay for it in their old age. Everyone has their own path, and everyone is responsible for their own mistakes." Liu Ruyan's voice was calm, but it was filled with absolute worldly wisdom. If they had raised Su Mengyao more strictly in their time and nipped her madness in the bud, today everything would have turned out differently. Such are the laws of karma. I nodded, acknowledging his correctness. We cannot replace solid principles with blind pity, otherwise the boundaries of our security will be erased. The pain and horror Su Mengyao brought to our son are real. This is the very line we will never cross or forgive. To extend a helping hand to them now would not only be disrespectful to ourselves, but would also allow the old evil back into our home. I took a deep breath, finally shaking the last of my doubts from my head, and felt stronger. Our life belongs only to us. Liu Ruyan looked at me with tenderness and pride in his eyes, realizing that I had completely let go of this situation. As if to confirm the beginning of a new phase, great news arrived. I have once again been officially invited to give a keynote speech at the International Photography Summit in Paris next month. The organizers expressed hope that I would be able to share my experience as the keynote speaker. Meanwhile, Yu's technology project successfully made it to the finals of a prestigious competition. Our whole family will definitely be rooting for him. This joyful news has finally brought me back to a bright and hopeful reality. I smiled and lightly touched my husband's shoulder. "Excellent news, my dear wife." This unpleasant meeting with Su's parents left only a slight ripple on the water, which quickly dissolved into the smooth surface of our happy life. Our family confidently continued to move forward along the path we had set. I re-energized myself and immersed myself in expanding my thermal engineering project. Our team traveled to several remote mountainous areas in the western regions, personally assessing the quality of education and the needs of local children. The funds raised were used strictly for their intended purpose. We managed to build and completely renovate several rural schools at once, and the real results of this work brought me tremendous inner satisfaction. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan's business empire reached another peak. He has brilliantly implemented several large-scale projects at the junction of mainland China and abroad. Our daughter, who is a ballet dancer, twirled around the room in a delicate dress, looking like a happy little swan, fragile on the outside but stubborn on the inside. Time passed, healing the last of my wounds. About 6 months later, I received a message, quite by chance, from an old friend at the legal aid office, who mentioned the fate of the Su family. They were never able to save their house from inventory. Having sold all their valuables, they were forced to move to the very outskirts of the city, to an old, poor area where Su's father found a penny job. Su's mother also worked odd jobs to make ends meet, but they still managed to pay off the remaining debts. An acquaintance sighed into the phone, "And their daughter is in a really bad way. She's locked up and completely broken mentally." Hearing this, I just nodded silently, feeling neither the desire to ask further questions nor any gloating. This news passed me by like a light autumn breeze, leaving no trace in my soul. Other people's mistakes and other people's broken lives no longer had anything to do with me or my family. Not a drop of sympathy or sadness stirred within me. Noticing my calm, my friend quickly changed the subject. We switched to discussing a recently released film, leaving the past forever in oblivion. My own life was too full of light and meaning to waste it on thoughts about strangers. The thermal engineering project had already borne enormous fruit. Having earned an impeccable reputation, I launched a new, even larger initiative, a charitable program. Shouguang Class. Its aim was not only to equip schools in rural areas with modern equipment, but also to provide children from poor villages with access to the best online resources and ongoing training with the country's leading teachers. Online courses including my photography lessons. On the project's launch day, Liu Ruyan brought Yu Yu and Yunian into the hall. I saw it with my own eyes. Standing on stage, I watched our family, seated in the front row. There was a deep pride in Liu Ruyan's eyes, the pride of a spectator, the pride. His gaze was fixed on a jade talisman, and little Yunian, imitating her mother, tried to maintain a very serious expression on her face. This funny little face was completely unique. When I was talking about the project, I said that I dreamed of giving every child, no matter where in the country they lived, a real opportunity to see this huge and beautiful world. At the moment that tiny spark of art flared up, the camera captured Liu Ruyan quietly raising his hand, brushing away a small tear that had glistened in the corner of his eye. An unprecedented sense of satisfaction and confidence filled my soul. The presentation was a resounding success. Leading media outlets widely covered the event, eliciting a lively and warm response from the public. That evening, Liu Ruyan hosted a cozy celebratory dinner at home. "Dad looked absolutely amazing on stage today," Yunian declared enthusiastically, tucking into a chicken leg while Yu Yu concentrated on discussing the technical details. "Dad, isn't your long-term broadcasting system too outdated? If the connection is lost, do you have a backup plan?" I smiled and gently ruffled his hair. "Our team has thought of everything down to the last detail. Don't worry, young technical advisor." Liu Ruyan placed a piece of fish on my plate, and the soft clink of dishes filled the house with coziness. Light streamed softly through the windows and food steamed on the table. My loved one and children were nearby. That's how my whole life changed dramatically, starting anew. All those distant, heavy losses and sorrows seemed incredibly distant and insignificant on this warm night. There was no longer any room in my heart for even the slightest shadow of doubt. As the Shouguang Class project gained momentum, I increasingly had to travel on business trips to remote regions. Sometimes, when Liu Ruyan had a free day, he would take the children with him. Thus began our unforgettable family trip. We set off together for the picturesque southern mountains. For the first time, the children saw with their own eyes the endless fields and wild flowers that covered the mountain slopes like a lush carpet. We also had the chance to visit the harsh northwestern desert. Under the vast dome of the southern sky, I patiently adjusted the telescope, feeling the evening chill settle on my shoulders. It seemed as if one could reach out and touch the shining stars. But one day, during a regular trip deep into the mountains, our car's path was blocked by a sudden rockfall. Mobile phone service was lost, the sun was rapidly setting, and the air around us began to cool rapidly. The staff accompanying us became slightly nervous, trying to find a way to contact base camp before the situation escalated further. Liu Ruyan quickly took control of the situation. He ordered everyone to be moved to a safe place, personally distributed water and food among the tired people, and then smiled encouragingly at the frightened Yunian. "Look, doesn't this look like a real adventure in the wild?" He squeezed my hand tightly with his warm, dry palms. "Don't be afraid, just admire this amazing night view. We're not in any danger here." Looking at his calm and reliable face, I was filled with a feeling of deep gratitude. I was infinitely grateful to fate for meeting him and for this strong house, capable of withstanding any storm. Eventually, a local guide helped us find a detour, and this little ordeal turned from a nightmare into another bright and warm chapter of our family history. Time flew by quickly and unnoticed. Yu Yu successfully passed his exams and entered an elite high school, and his passion for engineering bore fruit. He even designed a mini-drone for delivering light cargo to remote mountainous areas. This project has received high recognition from professional engineers. Liu Ruyan began to gradually involve him in working with partner technology companies. Watching him carry himself with confidence, I saw in him a little man ready to face the winds. Sometimes he would come into my workshop just to help me disassemble my photography equipment or to keep me company over a cup of tea. Over the years, my relationship with Liu Ruyan became more harmonious, pure, and deep. We still treasured those rare evenings when we could just watch a movie together or do nothing at all. Sitting on our cozy rooftop terrace, we drank tea, chatted leisurely, and admired the sunsets. Of course, there were minor disagreements in our life, for example, arguments about who spoiled the children too much or my reproaches towards my husband because of his workaholism. But we always knew how to talk openly with each other and quickly resolve any rough spots, fully understanding what a fragile and precious happiness we had built. In the autumn of the same year, another significant event occurred in my life. For my significant contribution to the development of socially significant photography and outstanding achievements in art, I was awarded the highest national prize in the field of culture. The award ceremony took place on the main stage of the National Theatre of China. As the blinding spotlights focused on me, I saw the faces of my family, friends, and colleagues in the audience. My response was short but heartfelt. I was grateful for the recognition, for the support, for the trust that I shared with my faithful mentors and partners. But my most important words are addressed to my family, my beloved wife Liu Ruyan, our son Yu Yu, and our daughter Yunian. It was you who taught me to love, appreciate life, and understand its true meaning. This award belongs entirely to you. At that moment, Liu Ruyan and the children, sitting in the hall, smiled at me, tears of joy glistening in their eyes. Standing at the pinnacle of professional success and looking back, I could clearly see the entire path I had taken. Every challenge, every pain and difficulty I have experienced has become a solid foundation that has led me to where I am today. Receiving the prestigious award did not change anything in my usual rhythm. Creativity, teaching, and family concerns remained the main meaning of my life. And sometimes, in rare moments of absolute relaxation and peace. For example, watching Yunian's clumsy attempts to adjust the color correction or listening to Yu Yu's inspired speech, I sometimes clearly remember fragments of my past life. The image of Su Mengyao completely losing his mind falls like from a destroyed cruise ship. Or that letter he wrote in delirium, his insane words about reincarnation and his attempts to dig up Liang Shanbo's grave. But now all these scenes evoke absolutely no emotion in me. They became like dusty museum exhibits securely hidden behind thick glass. The picture was distant, blurry, and completely unrelated to my real, happy life. My current life is incredibly real and beautiful. Let the past forever remain in the past, and now, more than anything in the world, I love spending sunny days in our own photo studio. Portraits of our close-knit family hang on one of the walls, capturing the most sincere and happy moments of the past years. On the other wall is my work area. With countless cameras, lenses, and unfinished projects, Liu Ruyan sometimes pops in with a fresh cup of coffee and sits quietly next to me, watching with interest as I sort through the photos or simply keeping me company. At moments like these, time seems to slow down. We no longer need to say unnecessary words because everything that is most important has long been proven by our joint efforts and devotion to each other. Our story was written under the soft rays of the sun, in an atmosphere of absolute peace, love, and harmony.